that's Honourable Fabian Hamilton. We are really thankful to you for what you're doing for us. And if you could make a short comment.
Of course, we are slightly short of time, ladies and gentlemen. I'll stand up because you probably hear me better at the back of the room. Firstly, my apologies for the lack of a PA system. I hope it hasn't been too difficult for you at the back. These rooms, I'm afraid you have to order the PA systems in advance, and we failed to do that. Secondly, another apology for being late. Today clashed with Foreign and Commonwealth Office questions. As you know, I'm a Shadow Minister, so I had to attend. Mr. Speaker wouldn't let me leave early, so that's why I was late for this meeting. But I want to thank my colleagues, Hilary Benn MP from Leeds Central, who was the former Shadow Foreign Secretary and Secretary of State in Tony Blair and Gordon Brown's Labour governments. He's a very experienced politician with huge knowledge, and many of you will remember his father, who fought for social justice for everybody at home and abroad, Tony Benn, the late great MP from this place, for 50 years. I also want to thank the Shadow Minister, Catherine West, who is my close colleague and friend and covers the region that we've been discussing today. And I thought her contribution was excellent, as was everybody else's. Really, really interesting that I heard, and very, very fascinating and important contribution to this debate. Also, I want to mention my friend Ghulam Hussain, who can't be with us today, but who first approached me, together with Brother Tariq, to ask that we hold this meeting. And I want to thank, of course, my old friend Shaukat Ali Kashmiri as well, because he's made such an important contribution to freedom in Kashmir. So there's 2 points I want to make before we have to leave this room, and I'm afraid we have to leave the room by 5 o'clock, so again, apologies for that. And those 2 points are these. In all the years, the 26 years I've been a Member of Parliament for Leeds North East, this issue has never gone away, and it never will until, as Una rightly said, there is peace, and a just peace at that. And in the Labour Party, we believe, and I hope we can put this into practice next year if and when we're elected to government, we believe, as the United Nations Constitution believes, that in the self-determination of all peoples on this earth. And that means that the people of Kashmir must never be told who they should be. They must decide it for themselves. And that's a really important thing. And my friends, the second issue is this. That if we go back to 1970, a treaty was drawn up and approved and ratified by more than 50 nations almost immediately, and it's called the Non-Proliferation Treaty, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Why is this important? Because in 1970, 30 years before the end of that century, it was believed that by the year 2000 there would be 32 countries on Earth with these horrific, dangerous, terrifying weapons. In fact, by the end of the century there were 5 who were members and signatories of the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Of course, they are Russia, China, the United Kingdom, France, and the United States, and another 4 who were developing and did develop those weapons. And they were, as we know, North Korea, Israel, Pakistan, and India. And so my plea to finish this conference, because we've heard about the destructive effects of political violence, the horrors that have been inflicted upon the people of Kashmir, that will reverberate around the world, not just through their diaspora communities, but because the implications of terror has profound implications for every citizen on earth. And we've heard that very, very well expressed today. But my plea is this, to India, the governments of India and Pakistan, join the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Look at those weapons you've developed at huge cost to your taxpayers and to your people. And divert the resources you put into these destructive weapons that will ultimately destroy all living things on Earth. Put those resources into ending poverty and creating peace. Because it's only once you create peace that you can end poverty. The two are mutually exclusive. In a region of violence and terror, there can be no economic development and there can be no end to poverty. And the resources those countries have put into developing those weapons, they should be ashamed of themselves, the leaders of those countries, because these weapons have no place in the modern world and in a civilized human society on Earth. And I say that not only to India and Pakistan, I say that to Israel, I say that to North Korea, I say that to the United States, Russia, China, the UK and France. We need to multilaterally get rid of these weapons by mutual agreement, or we will destroy ourselves forever. And that's a real plain fact. And Kashmir could be the trigger point for a nuclear conflagration that will destroy all living life on Earth. So let's end on that rather cataclysmic point, but a point of hope, that using some of the ideas that Una has put to you and that every other speaker has put to you, that we could use the judicial processes the world has, that we can use all the resources at our disposal to end the violence, the terror, the conflict, and establish peace, economic development, independence, self-determination, and ultimately a life for all Kashmiris, a nation they can be proud of, a nation that stands tall and says to the rest of the world, we are the people we choose to be, and the future is ours. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you very much for this valuable contribution. Now we've got about